Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Nyawera Mwendwa and I'm delighted to have you today. Our discussion today is one that holds immense importance in the realm of parenting, emotional intelligence. Joining me today is a distinguished guest, a counseling psychologist who's going to help us unravel this fascinating topic, understand its significance, and help us mold the impact it has in parenting. So without further ado, let's dive into the conversation. Thank you for joining us today.
Yes.
It's an honor. So maybe we can begin by tell us who you are and a little bit about your background in counseling psychology.
My name is Eva Washira. Like you said, I'm a counseling psychologist, and the history that I have with counseling psychology actually began over 20 years ago.
Wow.
As much as I've done counseling psychology, I am also a social worker by profession.
Okay.
That is the first place I met counseling. So one of the units that we were doing in the university had counseling, and they also had psychology in them. I really enjoyed counseling, and I knew this was my niche. You know, I also did very well in counseling, and I did very well in psychology. So I knew this too. Somehow I'll have to meet up with them sometime later in life. So when an opportunity came for me to study counseling psychology at a higher level, I took it and ran with it. So now I'm in a space that I really love, and I'm happy to be here. Eva is a mother, a parent, to teenagers, proudly, 4 teenagers. But I'm excited that we are walking this journey, raising up our children and sharing knowledge with each other so we can be better parents. Yes.
Wow, thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Now let's delve into the conversation. Now, emotional intelligence is something that we often hear.
Yes.
But it could mean different things to different people.
It's true.
So please help us understand what is emotional intelligence, particularly in parenting.
Allow me to define emotional intelligence so that we can see how it goes across the board for each and every individual first, and then the importance that it brings in parenting. So emotional intelligence is actually the ability to know your emotions, and then use your emotions, and then manage them, you know, your own emotions. And then at the very time, be able to understand the emotions of others, so that you can actually promote positivity in whatever circumstance that you go through. Remember, life is about interaction. You don't live on your own. So you have to understand the emotions of others and be able to interpret them and be able to even help them manage their own emotions. Yes, but you can only help them if you understand their emotions.
The emotions.
Yes. Now, as it pertains to parenting, emotional intelligence is very crucial when it comes to parenting, because the way you parent a child will determine whether they will grow up emotionally intelligent or not. Now, what we forget sometimes when we are parents is that we were also parented by parents who might have had emotional intelligence or not. So those days it was not being defined as emotional intelligence, but I know parents who brought up 15 children and done a very good job.
That's true.
That's
true.
So they did have emotional intelligence then, but they're also parents who didn't have emotional intelligence. So they brought up children who are struggling with their emotions, and then now these children are bringing up other children without
emotional intelligence.
So we need emotional intelligence in parenting, so that one, it's for our own good, and two, it's for the good of our children who will one day become parents. So when we're discussing about emotional intelligence, I'd like to encourage even our viewers to remember that if there's someone younger coming behind them, they'll be mature and they'll be adults in the future, and you'll want them to be able to have successful relationships or interactions with other people.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to delve into this.
Yeah, I know,
Yes.
I know, yeah. And even that you just started mentioning the importance, maybe you can dive a little bit about, now that we have a good foundation of what it is, then what are the benefits of it for both the parents and the children?
And the children.
Yeah.
A very good question also. As a parent, I'm speaking also to other parents.
Yes, yes, you are.
And it's so important to have emotional intelligence as a parent. One, because it creates the awareness of your children and the surroundings. You know, you can be able to read their expressions. You can be able to know they're in pain. You can be able to know they're angry.
Yeah.
So it increases self-awareness of the people around you and the children. Now, it is good to remember that children model after us.
Yes. Ooh, oh yeah.
So as you increase in awareness as a parent, remember you're teaching them in the future or even in the near future as children to actually be sensitive about other people's emotions. And maybe before we go far, I'll just say that's the foundation of creating empathy,
Okay.
which is one aspect of emotional awareness.
All right.
Because you're beginning to teach a child that you have to be sensitive about the other person's emotion, but you're doing it yourself as a parent. So you're increasing your own awareness as a parent, and you want to know, oh, what's happening? What's wrong? You're asking them, why are you feeling this way? Just explain what just happened.
Yeah.
So the child realizes, oh, you want to know, and they are happy to explain to you.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe they're not, but you know, you can probe them further and tell them, I really want to know what you're feeling right now.
Yeah.
I really care about that.
Yeah.
As we do that, the child is also learning that, oh, so it's okay to ask someone how they're feeling. Yeah. Probably you'll remember the first time as a parent, your child coming to you and asking you, Mom, how are you feeling? How did that feel?
It felt so good.
It felt so good. And did you used to ask your mom that when you were a kid?
Oh my goodness, can I remember?
I can't remember. I don't see myself asking my parents,
I can't
Daddy,
remember.
how are you feeling today?
feeling? No, I can't remember doing that. Yeah.
So we have to be the ones modeling to the children how to be that caring person.
Yeah.
And this is very much part of building emotional intelligence in the child.
Yeah.
Another thing that we can say emotional intelligence helps in parenting is in making decisions. So decision making is huge, even for the children.
Yeah.
But even you as a parent, once you recognize that your child is going through anger issues, for example, let me pick anger as an emotion, or your child is scared about maybe dogs or something.
Okay.
You'll be able to make the right decisions. You can know, okay, probably it's not the right time to bring in this pet, or you know, because you noting that they're very fearful of dogs for some reason.
Yeah.
So you're noting their emotions. You can see this really makes them happy. You know, if something makes them really happy, you as a parent will make a right decision. You'll be like, I think we need to get this for
Amazing.
our
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
That's being emotionally intelligent as a parent, you know.
Yeah.
So it really makes decision making one easy, but also right. What we want, all of us as parents, is to bring up children who are emotionally intelligent, which means when they grow up, they will have healthier relationships.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
They'll be able to solve conflicts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll be able to express themselves.
Yes, they'll be able to express themselves.
Yeah.
A lot of times, the higher the emotional intelligence, the more likelihood that your children will also succeed in relationships, in social interactions, which really define their lives at a certain age. So that's what I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the insights. And like you said, you're a mom of teenagers.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
That just tells you have a vast experience
Yes.
when it comes to parenting.
Yes.
Maybe we could just share, or please share with us some practical experiences that you have had to use when it comes to emotional intelligence, and you've practiced with your children over time, and can help or has helped in terms of emotional awareness.
Talking of being a mother of teenagers, of course, I've grown up with them from birth.
Yeah.
and I've watched their emotional intelligence grow. One of the many beliefs that I have is every child is born with some degree of emotional intelligence.
Okay.
However, the environment defines whether it will grow, it will stagnate, or it will be negative.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So the environment we create as the nurturers of these children, the environment we create as the parents of these children is going to determine whether the seed that was in them even at birth of emotional intelligence will thrive in a good way.
In a good way.
Yeah, because it can also go the other way. From my experience, building emotional intelligence in my children has taken a lot.
Okay.
One, they were following each other, which sort of made it easier, because if I taught the first one right, if I did something right with the first one, automatically, you know, it will be okay with the others.
The rest,
Yes, but one thing I had to realize as a mother is building emotional intelligence takes time. It's a process. Then it means I should not be very quick to shout to this child or to be angry with this child because they have done something wrong. You know, so once we recognize as parents that building emotional intelligence takes time, you'll give them their space.
Okay.
You won't be quick to get angry at a mistake they have done. Maybe they spilled the milk and that was all the milk you had, so you're enraged, but you try to remember, okay, they don't always spill milk. So this becomes a teachable moment.
Wow.
You know? So, honey, next time be very careful, you know? So you'll even calm down, you know? So what we're trying to come to is, as parents, we should not be quick to expect that children already know how to be emotionally intelligent. We need to know that it takes time, and we need to take them through the process. As we take them through the process, we practice a lot of understanding for why they are making mistakes, you know, and approach those mistakes in a calm way, in a positive way, and then allow them to be. So I was never very quick to shout at them or to be, no. I knew each of them was very unique, but I could see them handling things differently, and I was like, oh, she does that and he does that. So, you know, but you guide them over as you expect also them to grow in that emotional intelligence. So,
but I also feel for you to have that teachable moment, I think as a parent, you must be self-aware. Like, you know, like you said, maybe there are people who don't even know, like as parents, about emotional intelligence. So I like that aspect of just teaching, learning to teach, but it has to come first to self-aware.
That's a very good point you've brought up, because in the life of today where we are so busy, we get home very stressed out, and it's very easy for us to snap just like that. And we forget that we are the ones still teaching these children how to handle the stressful moments. So a parent who is self-aware, which is part of emotional intelligence, will catch themselves at those moments.
I think where I would need more clarification and help is how do you balance? Because like you're saying, as a parent, I need to be self-aware. So when it comes to, let's say, like conflicts between siblings, and I'm sure you've seen that, immediately we discipline. And they come immediately for you to embrace them, for you to validate their emotions. Where do you draw the line? Because maybe to me as a mom, I've not moved on from the mistake they did. I'm just from disciplining you right now. But again, in that moment, you will still want affection. So how do I balance that as a mom?
What I can say as a parent is love is broad. Love also covers a multitude of wrongs, right? So as parents, being the adults, we are supposed to model love in its entirety. Which means I don't just love you when you've done the right things. I also love you when you've done the wrong things.
Okay.
I love you at all times.
At all times.
At all times.
Yeah.
What is that? Unconditional love. So parents who have who are emotionally intelligent are able to offer unconditional love to their children. Now, let me divert it to now where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So you just disciplined them.
Yes.
And then just a few minutes, they're like, Mommy, I need a hug. Or, you know,
I know.
Mommy, I love you.
Yeah.
You know, and you're thinking, I just spanked you just now. You know, the response that children have after discipline is also very important. And as parents, we have to be careful to note their reactions even after discipline. And try to follow them up.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So there's a child who will go and go. There's a child who will come back to you and want that affection because they feel probably they hurt you and they have lost something, and is mom or dad still there for me, you know? So they want to come back and just get that affirmation that you still love me. The best way to teach a child that I love you unconditionally is at that point when they come back, for whatever reason they have come back, you take the higher road and give them that hug. In fact, tell them, I love you, I still love you. This did not make me happy, but I still love you.
Yeah.
It is a way of building a safe space for the child.
Okay.
Because what happens with children is if we don't create a safe space, when they do wrong, they will hide.
Yeah.
And as they grow up, if they can travel far because they have done something wrong, they will go away. You'll go to pick them at their auntie's place because they did wrong and cannot face you. So it's at a young age that you need to model this to them, that whether you've done right or wrong, we'll celebrate you when you're right. I'll still love you when you're wrong.
Okay.
So I've been very present in actually wanting to know why they felt the way they did, way from before they even started talking, you know. So when they got to a point they can now talk, I got excited because they can tell me how they are feeling, or they're actually saying it in words.
Yeah.
So I do love trying to figure out solutions to, if they didn't handle something well, what can I do? Can I do different? So I've always been a nurturer of emotional intelligence without even knowing.
Wow.
You know, probably
amazing.
Long before I even knew it was called emotional intelligence.
Amazing.
Then later in life now, when I look back, I'm like, okay, I tried to do the best I could back there, because I've never been someone to shout. I don't shout, you know, but I'll tell you, family, that this is not right. And even now when they're teenagers, I believe they know my emotional, if I may call it emotional language.
Okay.
They can read me very well and I can read them very well.
Yeah, so you verbalize it.
Yes, I verbalize it.
Okay.
In the process of verbalizing it, I'm reading whether they are ready to talk about it. And if they're not ready to talk about it, give them time to go process it. Now, this is when they are older. A lot of times the way we approach our children has a lot to do with how we were brought up ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So a parent who's emotionally intelligent will look at their past and see how they were brought up and pick the positives and the negatives. Whatever brushed on you that was negative, you'll try not to bring it into your upbringing now for your children.
Yeah.
Because what you've said about the environment is very important. There's someone you're going to meet, to them shouting is what they know. It's what they had, it's what they saw work. But if you follow up their lives, you'll realize there's a disconnect somewhere because of that shouting. So even when I talk about emotional intelligence in this day, there's what I have seen in the past that has really affected how we parent children today. And it stems from how we were brought up. So like for me, I don't remember my parents shouting at me at all. Yeah, or calling me names. Or calling me names. No, not at all.
Your parents never shouted at you?
No.
Maybe because you're so calm.
I hope so. I hope so.
Oh my goodness.
No, they never shouted at me. Even I want to believe even my siblings can attest to that. But they had a firm calmness to everything they did.
Yeah.
You could know dad is angry, and we are not talking about it. You know? And I've always grown up asking myself, what is that dad had? We could always listen to him. So let's look back. I'm encouraging parents to just look back at how they were brought up and see what it is they have picked from there that's working and what is not working.
It's so interesting. I'm enjoying this conversation because
it's amazing.
When you go back to how we were brought up, in our family, we are 6. So I'm the 4th born. So for us to communicate, you had to raise your voice to be heard. So, and it caught up with me. And even when I got married, I could raise my voice because I feel heard when I raise my voice. And now it's something that my husband picked and said, you know what? We can still talk and not shout. I can still hear you, you know? Yeah. And I had to practice it. But now it came from the environment that I was raised. Now that I have toddlers, I had to teach myself that I don't have to shout for them to hear.
It's very interesting because now in psychology, we do learn theories that have to do with firstborns, secondborns, thirdborns, lastborns, you know. So for you were somewhere in the middle there. And these are the ones who get lost somewhere and they have to say, I'm here. I know. You know, because the firstborn is looked at, the leader.
Absolutely.
The lastborn, love. That's and, you know, the baby. But in the middle here, everyone had to fight. You had to fight. So that's what you are doing. I'm here and you have to hear my opinion. So it's okay given that you are somewhere there, you know.
In the middle,
it's amazing.
It's interesting.
It's amazing.
I really love what you're saying. I think for me, what I do to just continue to create awareness with my children is I tend to ask open-ended questions, you know. We do a lot of storytelling. I'm able to pick out emotions that are there, and we're able to discuss.
You've also reminded me an incident that happened not very long time ago. Now my kids are older. They can express themselves better. And it was this incident for, was it the Oscars? I think it was the Oscars or the Grammys, where Will Smith, an actor that we know so well, we've grown up watching him and he's entertained us for a long time, went and punched, was it Chris Rock?
Yes, it was.
On the face. And it was trending all over on social media.
Trend, yes.
And there's no way I could cover my kids' eyes and tell this one don't watch, you know. We actually watched it because it was trending. They even put it for me and we all watched it happening. And after that, we had a very healthy discussion because we were asking each other what just happened. We don't know their story, we don't know the background of this story or of Will's behavior. But you know what we did? The children were able to really express that moment of intense emotion, what they saw Will Smith doing. I even stepped back and listened. I was like, we grew up. I don't know, we are grown, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah, someone will say he must have had issues maybe with Chris Rock before they came, or maybe there's a personality issue, you know. They're really saying adult things, you know, or mature things. And I was like, it's good to actually listen and understand these children are processing these emotions and what they're seeing out there.
It's so crucial for parents to model this behavior to our children. What are the do's and the don'ts of what we are trying to drive home? That's emotional intelligence.
One of the best things the parent can model to the children is vulnerability. We are used to actually showing ourselves like we don't cry, we are not fearful. You know, we need to actually get to a point when you've actually done wrong, you can actually say, I'm sorry.
Wow.
That action right there builds so much emotional intelligence in your child. For that time and the future. The next time you hold them accountable and you say, I expected you to say sorry. You know, you've seen daddy say sorry. You've seen mommy say sorry. It is right to say sorry. So you're modeling that.
Yeah.
Another thing that I would also say is very important is allow the child space to express themselves. Now, with the world being as it is and as busy as we are, we have to create, I call them micro moments with our children.
Okay.
Get those micro moments. If you can't get a whole hour, get some very quality 5 minutes where you give your child the full attention. You put everything aside. This is for you. Now tell me what it is you wanted to tell me. There's that eye contact. You're looking at them, they're looking at you, and they're saying, I have dad's full attention. I have mom's full attention. Because it teaches children social skills that are very important when they grow up. Remember, everything we've talked about today pertaining to emotional intelligence actually leads to an individual being very healthy in social interactions.
Yeah.
People will want to be around you
Yeah.
because you're pleasant.
Yeah.
You understand me. You hear me, you know? Yes. And you won't do all this all the time. They will get to an age where you going to watch a movie with them will be like, Mom, please go watch your movie. We will watch ours.
Is that happening in the teens?
It is because a lot of times what they enjoy watching nowadays is not what we enjoy.
Absolutely.
You really have to pull yourself up to actually say, I'm coming for a movie with you. Take, for example, they love animations. And movies nowadays are just, most of them are animated. We were not used to this.
No.
So the first thing, like for me, I know for a long time I used to ask them, what movie can we watch? Is it an animation or real, or real people? Because I have not understood this.
Yeah.
The animations are really interesting. And let me tell you, just having that conversation with them and them persevering with their mom eventually drew me into watching animations.
Oh,
and I think they are
and
really.
you do now?
Do you know? I do now.
Okay.
I do now, and I really enjoy them.
Okay.
They really have nice storylines.
Okay.
And now I can understand why a 14, 15, 16-year-old can enjoy an animation. You know?
Yeah.
They
Going to
actually
their
created.
level.
Yeah, you go to their level, and then you realize, very good storyline there. Another thing I would say is, especially for the young children, go down to their level and be fascinated as they are.
Yeah.
Allow yourself, you know, they may
Yeah.
get fascinated by a cockroach.
Yeah.
You know,
It's
they'll
true.
see a creature and oh wow,
I know.
that, you know, and you're wondering, you're wondering,
I'm about to run.
yeah,
because
exactly,
me and
or get that
cockroaches.
flipper and cry. But do you know that's a teachable
Oh
moment?
wow, it's a good way to look at it.
Yes, you can actually interact before you kill that cockroach. Take that moment, enter into the world of this child and be fascinated by what is fascinating them. Just live their life for a little bit, you know.
just had to use cockroach.
I had to use because I think everyone has seen a
Oh yeah.
don't they appear, you know,
Yes,
from
yes,
nowhere?
yeah, cockroaches.
Yes, I say as long as there's food in a home, there'll be cockroaches.
Alright.
So let's allow ourselves as parents
Yeah.
to actually delve into the world of our children. So emotional intelligence in parents actually allows us to take every situation, good and bad, as a teachable moment for them in the future.
Alright.
So they will have times when they can pull when they're older from something that happened in their childhood because you helped them handle it well. Yeah, they'll be like, I've gone through such a conflict before and this is what we did. And they will actually be able to go through. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, what are the don'ts?
As parents,
Yeah.
what should we not do?
Yeah.
Let me say, let's not ignore our children.
Okay.
Yeah, let's not ignore the small things that we notice in our children. And let me say, especially when they want to talk to us, it's not all the time that we can engage them, but please create time to actually go back and tell them, you actually wanted to talk to mommy. I have the time right now. So do not ignore and close that door, you know, and never remember about it. The child will try the first time, the second time, the third time they will withdraw. And you know what they will do? Someone else will take that place.
It's true.
Yes.
It's true.
Their teacher will take that place. Their friends will take that place. And let me say also, in child development, you only have the years up to probably like preteen to develop a relationship with your child. Because once they start going now the identity way, you know, knowing who they are, trying to identify themselves with certain cliques or groups, you lose them because now the peers define more who they are.
Okay.
So this early ages, all the way, that's where work is.
Okay.
So that now when they're with their peers, let them be with their peers.
But with a good foundation.
With a good foundation.
Correct.
Yes. You, in fact, at that time, you're just affirming now the boundaries you put. You just tell them, okay, don't worry what everybody says. You know, you believe in what you know. You know, you can easily tell them that. But it's down here that we have to really apply the skills that come with emotional intelligence. So that by the time they're getting out, and now most of the times they're even in high school, like now my children, being teenagers, how many months in a year do I see them? Versus the time I'm not with them. Yeah, 3 months probably in a year. So who defines their life now?
Wow.
If I did not put in the work when they were younger, if I didn't learn this and decide to let me work on myself so I can make sure they're able to cope there, you know? So I think it's very, very important for us parents to not ignore adding even knowledge to ourselves when it comes to emotional intelligence. Let's not be at a point where we know it all. Add knowledge to yourself. Right now I've got teenagers, but I need to start preparing myself for young adulthood. You know,
how many teenagers do you have?
4. Officially, God's grace is enough and has been enough.
Wow.
In fact, probably they keep me this young because
I know
God's grace. Because God's grace is enough. You know, they are awesome human beings to be around.
I think something else I've learned over the years is not labeling their emotions. You know, when you tell a baby, oh, you're a crybaby, you know, this one cries all the time. And those are little things that parents sometimes say or mention that can hurt your child. You know, I recently I was just talking to my boys, and I'm raising boys. So I'm constantly telling them it's okay to cry. That's an emotion. You know, from the world of men being told men should not cry. I mean, I want to change that narrative and allow them to express their emotion. The don'ts is what we need to improve on as well, because we're not perfect. We're not perfect, and we need God's power to continue teaching us. Even as we improve on ourselves, then we're able to share that with our children. You know?
Another thing probably I can say is that that actually grows into a point now. Once they're good at expressing their emotions, then you'll actually get to an age where you now teach them to manage their emotions. Regulating now, you know. So now you teach them to regulate your emotions. Okay, now you don't cry at everything. There's here you can cry, here, you know. Now you start teaching them, and they'll understand that so much better because of the foundation.
I like that.
Okay,
I like that.
Yes.
Because one thing with toddlers, a simple thing like when a child is struggling to wear their shoe, and they're struggling, they'll probably cry. So you're teaching them. Now that comes to the regulation. I'm just here, mommy's here. Just come and tell me, mommy, would you please help me wear my shoe? As opposed to now entertaining the cry, because now they'll be crying over everything. But you also teaching them to regulate. I like that. That's a skill that you can actually teach them to regulate.
It is part of emotional intelligence.
Absolutely.
Actually, when we are talking about emotional intelligence, we have the self-awareness, which we've alluded to a number of times. There's now the regulation. We do have the social skills in there. We do have motivation in there, and we do have empathy being there. One of the psychologists that I listened to really insists that beware as parents to make sure that your child has some empathy in them.
Okay.
Do not bring up a human being who has no empathy, because their relationships in the future will be very difficult. Empathy is applied when you're dealing with the other person.
Okay.
So you're feeling the
Yes.
feelings of the other person.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
you're not letting them overwhelm you, but
No.
you can feel them. So imagine a human being without empathy.
That world will be miserable.
Miserable.
Yeah.
Miserable.
In this era of digital world, you know, we have our, like your teenagers and many other children who are into social media, and we see a lot of cyberbullying. So how can parents talk to their children about that, and how that boils up to emotional intelligence, helping them cope with such? Yeah.
The era of digital devices has really changed how we are bringing up our children. And I can tell you, even as a counseling psychologist, I really thought telling the children that we grew up without devices
Would
is
help.
enough would help. You know, I thought
No.
their mind will be
It's
like,
a
oh,
two generation.
Mom, grow up so we can. It does not work.
Doesn't.
Let's not waste our breath with
it
that, because
doesn't,
it
yeah.
does not
Yeah.
work. So it's us to up our emotional intelligence skill
Yeah.
and be able to deal and bring up our children in this era. For me, I see it as a vehicle.
Okay.
I'm sure you can probably remember before you learned driving,
Yeah.
you didn't just take a car,
No.
right?
No.
And you just went on the road,
No.
right?
Yes.
What did you have to do,
I
for
had to
example?
go to school.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
had to go to school.
Yeah.
And it's in school, some schools will even teach you a bit about the parts of the car,
Yep.
you know, and then how the rules on the road,
the road,
you
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then now you get to go to do it practically on the road,
Yeah.
right? And I know they have theory classes and they
Yeah,
also have
practical.
practical classes.
Correct.
Now, when I look at digital devices and our children, for me, I look at it like learning how to drive. The rules are already set. You know,
Yeah.
the rules on the road are already set. This device has applications. This device has a manual on how to operate it. So why don't we have these conversations before you hand them over this device?
Okay.
There are children who died because of cyberbullying.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
they commit suicide just because someone just threw something negative and they were not mature enough or ready to take that information.
Yeah.
So this device is not a small device. We should not belittle it and give it to our children just so easily. We should have some rules when it comes to usage. We should control to the extent we have.
Okay.
We can
Yeah.
the content that's being watched through those devices, you know. And yeah, we should set boundaries when it comes to when to use it and when not to use it. Let it not just be easy
Yeah.
to give your child an iPad and they remain there, you know, all the time. You go for a family function and they have their iPad there instead of socializing.
Yeah,
You know,
I've seen that a lot.
we do that a
Yeah.
lot, you know, even in church, you know, you give your child a phone so that, you know,
They don't disturb
they
you in
don't disturb you in
church.
church. Do you know you're actually making, instead of putting this child in a real life setting, you're actually making their virtual life very real. They're growing virtually,
Yeah.
but you're actually missing out on the point because they're going to live in the real world. Put the boundaries. When we go to church, no, we won't do this. Family functions, no, that's time to go talk to your cousins and all that.
yeah.
You know, just set boundaries.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Then keep to the boundaries and let there be consequences if boundaries are crossed.
Correct.
Age appropriate consequences. You see?
Maybe lastly, you can share with us or give us advice to parents who this could be a new concept to them, or parents who are looking at elevating or improving emotional intelligence to be better parents.
To be better
Yeah,
parents.
what would be your advice?
So for you parents to be better parents when it comes to emotional intelligence, I feel you, it can sound like a new concept, but trust me, it's been there. It's only that we had not labeled it as that. Emotional intelligence begins with you. Before you even go to the other person, it starts with you. So you as a person build emotional intelligence, and this you can do by some of the things that we have mentioned. Practice self-awareness. Actually be able to speak aloud and say that I feel sad, I feel angry. There's nothing wrong about saying that, even as an adult. Also work on self-control, which is brought about by learning some self-regulation in your emotions, even as a parent. Remember, if you don't control your emotions, you'll be teaching the young ones not to have that self-control. And then I'll also say, have self-care as a parent. I know the world has become a very stressful place. Some of these things we cannot control, but take time to take care of yourself as a parent. When you take care of yourself as a parent, you're going to approach your children in a very calm but firm way. So those are some of the things I can empower my parents today. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for your valuable insights.
You're so welcome.
I hope you guys have been enlightened, you know, and now you have practical examples to work with when it comes to parenting. You know, for me, what I would say is remember that emotional intelligence is a compass that guides us in understanding our children's hearts. You know, it's a map for empathy, and then finally it's a key to help us nurture our children when it comes to self-awareness.
Very true.
So yeah, so with that, I want to wish you all the best. Look forward to hearing from you. Please comment, write to us. What did you learn? What are some of the ways that you apply when it comes to emotional intelligence? Because we appreciate your feedback.
Yes.
And remember, please subscribe. We value your support.
Yes, we do.
And God bless you so much.
Thank you so much.
Until we meet again. Bye.
Bye.